Hello and welcome to the King Hauler build. And I forget which episode. I think we're up to 9. We'll check on that. But anyway, it's kind of at a place where I can't do too much more to it without having my receiver, which I'm still waiting for. But hopefully that's going to be the next couple of days. So what I'll do is I'll start looking at the multifunction control units and getting things prepared for that, which I think at the moment is basically going to be labelling a lot of wires. There is a little guide somewhere with wires and what colour is which one and which label goes where. There we go. So I'll get to labelling them off camera. I think the only other thing I can do is set up some of the other pieces, so the likes of the speaker box itself, we can get that made. The vibration units, we could probably look at getting that made. The hitch at the back, we can get that made. We've got the shiny metal box, which is going to replace this black plastic one to sit in there, but I think we need wires in this before we can put it in the box, hence the labelling wires first. Then we'll get this changed out, I guess, and mounted, then we can start looking at where the wires need to go, and possibly the front and rear bumpers. Again, they'll have lights in them, so I'm just going to try and do as much as I can to get the lower deck kind of finished. I'll wait for the receiver before I start to even contemplate doing the top, I think. But I might want to paint the body before I actually go ahead and install the lights to it. I'll see about that and figure it out from there. But certainly I'll do what I can. Labelling wise, we've got speaker box. The only thing left to really do on the truck itself is the mounting plates. I think that one goes upside down and that one goes there for the battery. But it'd be nice to have the electronics in place before putting these in, so I can see where I need to run the actual electronics. I don't know what's going to be best, but I did pick up a little bit of black tape to go and hide them inside with. I did also pick up some extra random multi-purpose grease, high melting point to it, just as backup supplies of things. So I'll go ahead and get this tidied up, these tidied up, the new metal looking housing tidied up for the little controller unit there, and we'll start to assemble what we can and take it from there. Okay, so as I was building things, I thought I'd quickly finish off the odd bits. I haven't done any of the back mud flaps. It's kind of a shiny side and a dull side. I think I'll put the dull side towards the tyres. You can do it whichever way you like, really. But, I think that's the way I'm going to do it. I've already put one on just to save you a little bit, but basically get a little rubber part which is kept in place with a little aluminium strip. So you need to line up your holes and some tiny screws go in there, so I'll pop one in just to try and keep that hole in place. And tiny nut to go on there. Getting all the fiddly things, the smaller pieces. should be able to just kind of finger tighten and start getting the other ones in. So the far end ones is going to be easier to sync up the middle. That should just push through. And again, tiny screw on there. Bolt, sorry. Again, just finger tighten that one. I'll give one a quick tighten, but you don't need to over tighten too much. It'll bend the aluminium in a little bit and start pinching the rubber in a weird way. Okay, last nut. Wants to sit on there. There we go. So I'll just give him a light tighten with the tool and a screwdriver. Yep, that's okay. Trying not to bend the rubber with over tightening the screws. That's it, it's not there. But I'm just going to get vibrated too much really, so I don't think I need to thread lock anything on that one. But that just gets screwed into the back here. Straight onto the frame itself. So I'll feed if I can actually get the bolt in there. There we go. I'll feed the bolt through first so I can line it up. And just get that in place. I'll do it loosely just because there's two screws going in there. And there we go. Yeah, I just thought it would be easier having the mud flaps in place before we get the lighting set up on something like the rear bumper, because otherwise it's going to be awkward to get in about there. Okay, but I'll carry on with the wires and cut back in a second. Yeah, so I think the first job I'll do is we'll get the power switches out of this housing, which is the one it comes supplied in for whatever reason, and swap it out for the metal ones. Just because I think the wires get fed through the back, so it's going to be easier to get them kind of fed through the body first. The plan to mount the wires under that part of the body mounting and up through the middle. It's two screws holding that together. That comes apart quite heavily. And I guess that's now a spare part for something. But there is a sticker to go on there. Lid for the screws. So we'll just get this off of there and lined up on the piece. is I use a screwdriver to help punch out those holes, kind of half cut it in to go over the lights and other parts. To remove those, I guess. That kind of works reasonably well. Stuck on stickers. I'll grab that in a minute. But anyway, so it's volume over there. I'll try and get this nicely lined up. Okay, so I think that works. Maybe just press that into place. So there's a couple of different switches on there, and some setting on off, and obviously a little dial to show you. But yeah, so we have these three connections to go in at the back. And what you J11, which is a 7 wire connector, and which way you that's that one on there. J30, which is a 5 coloured wire. And again, that's the tags on there for when they connect into the place on the control unit. So it goes that way. That's on there. And the last one is this 3 colour wire, which goes on there. Okay. So that's then in place. That should help us control most things and turn it off and on. So I guess it's important to get that the right way in the housing. That's going to be built around it. Just double check how that goes together. So 2 different sets of screws. Ooh. Okay, I'll leave another box for you. Got like a box for that one. So in with the NFU there is a few pieces. It's asking for a 10mm soft packing screw. So I'll keep this box for all these ones. That should be a 10mm. Soft packing there. That was for the box itself. And another one. Will keep you separate with the multifunction unit stuff. And and construct this housing. Okay, so that's the top truss there. Guess we want to get the writing up the right way. Make sure it all fits in nicely. So there is a little bar to kind of push it in and hold it in place behind it. Just try and figure out a nice configuration to keep the wires in. Then this part of the housing, again there's a bracket in the bottom for it to sit in. Oh, sorry, I cleaned up one part of the housing and forgot that one. Let's quickly get the edges off there. Just be careful with that because the silver can flake off a little bit. That's a pretty clean job. Okay, so that's the top, which goes in there, goes there, and this should slip into place, containing everything there. Doesn't caught on anything. Seems a little bit stuck on something. Just a little bit stiff to push into place, I think. There we go, one of the clips inside wasn't sitting quite right. So I think we screw this back in with the original screws which came out, and then we can put on the bottom parts, which is the stairs. Just got one to sit in there. Three times 10, that's the same size, I think it's what's there. Yeah, it's just not sitting in that hole happy. Try and move the plastic a little bit to line it up better. It's just not burning. Try the other side here. It's through. It's definitely biting in, that one. Try again. Feels like it's through. There we go, just wasn't getting through far enough to bite in. Okay. So again, it's plastic on plastic, so it's tight enough really to see that is fine. And the bottom stair section fits in there quite happily as well. I just need to align the holes a little bit. Okay, that should be good there. And again, self-tapping screw. I think that's the problem actually, that's the wrong size screw which came in with the original box. On all these soft ones from the motor control unit. And hopefully that's the issue that was having earlier with the other hole. Yep, that feels much better. So yeah, don't use the screws which come with the original box. They're kind of pointless. Too narrow a screw. That seems strange. That one's just through as well. Let's just empty these into there and I'll check there may be two sides. And that one feels like it's the right one there. Okay, so that's our box now set for the other side. I imagine it's just going to get the self-tapping screws which were in the original manual to attach that in. So I'll quickly have a look at that. That's the might away somewhere else. Attach them, that's the F1 screws. Which should be easy enough. We'll bring this down. Let's see if we can get it fed into place. Because I think, I want to feed the wires up through the body. There we go. So once that base plate is in place, there should be a gap between the two. And so basically you can feed all the wires up through under this plate into the middle. But anyway, I'll get that attached. It's just going to be a case of 4 screws in there, and we'll cut back when we're ready for the next piece. Okay, so I have the bumpers up, pretty much ready to go on. Oh, I forgot to get my screws, but I'll get them in a second. So I think with these, the parts, you'll probably not be able to make it out, but there's a little tiny ridge on there. And I guess they just get pushed straight into place and kind of snap on a little bit. I don't know if I'll need to eventually glue them. It doesn't say anything about glue on them, and I guess that's going to hold up. So for the rear we've got indicators. If I try not to drop everything, the brake lights as well. They're just snapped into place. And the front, I think it's the high beams. Again, they're just snapped into place. But, like I said, it doesn't say use super glue, but I might, at some point, if it causes any issues, use a bit of glue. Obviously the long screws. So I need a couple locking nuts. And 4 screws. Bag F, I need bag B, bag B. There we go. Which are the silver ones? Which are the silver ones, yep. So it should be straightforward. I've already got some nuts pre-put in the rear axle, I think it was, from earlier. Way back in episode 2, 3, something like that. So I'll go ahead and get them put in. Try not to crush everything. Do it this way. So get this. Again, I don't know if I need to Loctite them, but thread lock them. But I'll give it a go without for the moment. Like I said, if it causes any issues, then we can have a look at that later. So I don't really want to push these nuts out. Just as long as we can get it screwed into place. Okay, that's one kind of making its way in, quite happy. And this next one. Slide you in. No, let's just push that one out. That said, flip it round, but it's maybe not going to be as easy as that. What can I hold this in with? I'll do one turn on that screw so I can unscrew it. Maybe a bit more, it's just knocked off. But if I partially screw on one screw, I can use this, I think, to then hold it in the back whilst I screw in the other one. Okay, that feels like that was in place. This next one lined up. Yep, that feels like it there. Just unscrew this. Oh, almost I needed more screws on that one. But I think that's going to work. We'll try that again. Let's sit happy in there. Okay, that's done it. There's always a way to figure something out. Although just thinking about it, I was getting the electrics done, wasn't I? Oh. I won't tighten that all the way, I just want it on for looks then. Just barely in, but I was getting carried away with putting the front on. I'll look out the section of lights I need to put in there and we'll quickly run through that. It shouldn't take too long, to be honest. It should be straightforward, but we'll cut back in. Okay, so now that I've got the wires set in place, I've gone ahead and popped one in. The brake light, I think, runs across both sides with a bridging wire and another LED in that side. But we'll go ahead and mount the other one. You want to make sure you match up your numbers correctly. The J23 is the right indicator, and that's just popped in to the hole there. It feels a bit weird, but you need to kind of bend the connections down to accommodate the plate which sits on top. Kind of a little bit nervous, just gingerly pushing a little bit, but it's going to have to be lower than that mounting there, really. So I'll get kind of close, but I'll use the mounting itself to push everything into place. And I'll pull this one just beneath the mounting so it doesn't pinch on there. This is the idea. Okay, so it kind of fits just in. There's a little ridge for it to sit on, I think. Again, I've got a tiny screw to go in to hold that into place. Again, plastic, don't want to over tighten too much. Okay, so that's rear bumper properly sorted now. I think what I'll do is I'll use these little tie wraps to keep the wiring pretty much in place. I'll also attach it anyway. So I might get another one on there, just keeps it easy to manage, I guess, without properly zip tying it in place. Throw that one on there as well, actually. So I think it's going to be a nest of wires eventually. So I can't remember if I mentioned, but where I'm putting the labels, it's down towards where they're going to plug in. Just so I know once they're in place where they go afterwards. It's a bit easier than trying to track them back to here and follow it through. The front bumper is slightly different, but again it's on a split headlight system. I don't think I prepared those. But I think they're the same as the other ones. 2 tiny screws, but this time there's a small aluminium brackets to fit on there as well. So that goes on first. Actually there's another clip, sorry, that I need as well, which should be supplied somewhere. I seem to be missing that part. Where have I put that? That's the housing. But anyway, that's the general idea. They'll have a clip housing. Bolt goes onto there, that metal plate, then the housing on top. So I'll find that, get them quickly attached, and we'll come back once I've got the bumpers in place. And again, it's just going to be 2 screws into each bumper. So I'll come back once we've got them in and ready. Okay, so I've gone ahead and mounted the front and rear bumpers, just as I said, 2 screws. But I'm going to take another tie wrap. Well, I think for the front lighting, I'll run it above the servos. I can't quite think how to keep it nicely away from the steering servo arms, so I don't want it to get caught. But it does kind of run nicely up each side. Maybe you have to tape down place bits. But will run quite happily up the front. So I've got everything else kind of pulled through now from the back, for the back lighting as well. And that's the main on-off switches. It's kind of grouping everything together again with the tie wraps, just so it's going to be easier to deal with. I think the only other thing I've got switching these wires coming from the back is the coupling. The rest is going to be mounted on this plate, I think, which sits about there, and this one which sits at the front. So I'll see how I'm going to do these. Again, I might run them from this point under, past the gearbox and motor underneath and up. I just wanted the lights to clear the steering mechanisms and the gear mechanisms. I think for now that will do it. So I might potter on and get the coupling made, and if I do, I'll add that onto the end of the video. Okay, so I think with the wiring in place with what we've got in the lights, I'll call it a night there, and we'll get on with the coupling at the back next time. And I think I'll start to look at things like the shaker motor, which will go in place, and the speaker, and hopefully attach some of the panelling into place once I've got the wires coming underneath, just so we can get everything a bit more ready for when my receiver turns up, and then I can start testing the multi-function units. But for now, I think that's just about everything that's just for giggles. Let's set that on there. So it's getting closer every day. So, like I said, I'll have to see how exactly I want to fit everything with these wires at the front. But I think, as I said, maybe running it behind, out of the way of the moving arms, it might be the way forward. But, anyway, we'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. Bye now.